Thank you, brother. Thank you for that song. All right, brothers and sisters, just like we do in all of our locations, we read the law before we dive into the lesson. So we're going to start in Exodus 20, then we're going to Ecclesiastes 12, and then to Revelations 22. After that, we'll go right into the lesson. So we're going to start in Exodus 20 and verse 1. Go ahead, my brother.
And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
All righty. So now let's go to Ecclesiastes 12, and we're going to read verses 13 and 14.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
All righty. So our last place is Revelations chapter 22. And we're going to read verses 14 and 15.
Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers and murderers and idolaters and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie.
Thank you, brother. So as you see, we read the law in every IOG location because this is a requirement if you want to get salvation. You can find it in the Old and the New Testament, okay? So with that being said, I want to say good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome home here at the Israel of God Bible study class here in Hayward, California, where we teach the Bible by subject and title. My name is Brother James. Reading for us is our brother Ray. And I want to say, brothers and sisters, the last time I taught a lesson like this was over 7 years ago. October of 2015 was the last time I taught a lesson like the one I'm about to do right now. Last week, we had a lesson about the husband and the wife. Before that, I think Brother Mike Murray did a lesson about covetousness. We did a lesson about Jesus and truth and Jesus and tradition, so forth and so on. But today's lesson is titled with a question. And that question is, will a man rob God? That's the question. Will a man rob God? By the time you walk out here today, you're going to know if a man is capable of doing that. Okay? Lessons like this must be done for the same reasons we do the other ones, which is to teach you what thus said the Lord, and so you can deliver yourself. Also, to get your blood off of me. Y'all know that's the watchman's job, right? The Lord told Ezekiel, warn the people from me, but if you don't warn them, they're going to die of their own causes, but their blood going to be on you, Ezekiel. So warn them from me. So I'm here to warn you from the Lord, so your blood won't be on me, and you can't say, Brother James didn't tell me nothing about that. Okay? So it's our job to show you what is written, any brother that's in this position right here. So you can make informed decisions about what's best for you and your household, okay? So let's start today's lesson in the 50th Psalm. Psalm chapter 50 is where we're going to start. So before we get into whether or not a person can rob God or not, we need to find out who this God is first. First, let's find out who he is, what he does, and what he expects in order for us to get a clear picture of whether or not a person can rob him or not. Okay? Psalms 50 and verse 5. Psalms 50 and 5. Go ahead and read that, brother.
Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with my sacrifice.
Yes.
And the heavens shall declare his righteousness, for God is judge himself. Selah.
Go ahead.
Hear, O my people, and I will speak. O Israel, and I will testify against thee. I am God, even thy God.
Yes.
I will not reprove thee for thy sacrifices or thy burnt offerings to have been continually before me. I will take no bullock out of thy house, nor he goats out of thy folds.
So the Lord said he would take no bullock from your house, nor he goats out of your folds. Why not? Go ahead and read, brother.
For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle upon 1,000 hills.
Yes.
I know all the fowls of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the field are mine.
So right out of the gate, we seeing that the Lord is letting you know he don't need nothing from you. He said he know all the fowls of the air. The cattle of 1,000 hills are his, okay? All the beasts of the forest belong to him. He knows them, and he can talk to them too, okay? Go ahead and read.
If I were hungry, I would not tell thee, for the world is mine, and the fullness thereof.
And the Lord say the world is mine and the fullness thereof. So right out of the gate, we see that we live in a world created by God. We live here in a world he created. Okay, skip down to verse 14 and continue.
Offer unto God thanksgiving, and pay thy vows unto the Most High.
See, he said, offer unto God thanksgiving and pay thy vows unto the Most High. Y'all know how everywhere you go today, there's a tip jar right there. Go to the cleaners, there's a tip jar on the counter. Go to Subway, there's a tip jar there. You go into the coffee shop, the donut shop, everybody wants you to thank them by giving them some of your money. If you're going to thank this man, you better know that you got to thank your God. Okay? Go ahead and read.
And call upon me in the day of trouble, and I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me.
Yes.
But unto the wicked, God said,
yeah.
What hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest make my covenant in thy mouth?
Go ahead.
Seeing thou hatest instruction, and casteth away my words behind thee.
Okay, so look, the Lord say, offer to God thanksgiving, pay your vows unto the Most High, and then if you doing that, he said, hey, you call upon me in the day of trouble, then I'll deliver you. Okay? He said, but unto the wicked who hate instructions and cast their words behind him, he don't hear those people. So now, let's go into Leviticus chapter 22. Leviticus 22, and we're going to start at verse 18. Leviticus 22 and verse 18. Leviticus 22 and verse 18, because we have to find out who this God is. He's already declared unto us that the world is his and the fullness thereof. Leviticus 22 and verse 18. Go ahead and read it.
Speak unto Aaron and to his sons,
Mm-hmm.
and unto all the children of Israel,
Yes.
and say unto them, whatsoever he be of the house of Israel, or of the strangers in Israel,
Mm-hmm.
that will offer his oblation for all his vows,
Mm-hmm.
and for all his free will offerings,
Mm-hmm.
which they will offer unto the Lord for a
Yes.
burnt offering.
Go ahead.
You shall offer at your own will a male without blemish,
Mm-hmm.
of the beeves, of the sheep, or of the goats.
Now look, the Lord saying he want a free will offering. He's not making you offer him anything. He said a free will. You have to do this of your own desire, okay? It's just like this church was built on people volunteering. Nobody here got made to do anything. Is if you want to do it, then you can do it. If you so qualify to do it. Okay, the Lord is the same way, but at the same time, he said, if you do something, it's got to be without blemish. If you make an offering here, the sheep or the goats, they can't have any blemishes on it. Go ahead and read, brother.
But whatsoever hath the blemish, that shall ye not offer, for it shall not be acceptable for you.
See that? See, the Lord don't want scraps. He don't want your worst. Whatever you doing, you do your best. You cooking something for the feast, you put your best foot forward to bring that food up in here for your brothers and sisters to partake in that food. Okay? Whatever it is you doing, if you ushering, you put your best foot forward. If you reading, you put your best effort forward. If you gonna get up here and sing, you put your best out there. Okay? That's what the Lord wants, your best, not your scraps, not your leftovers. Okay? Go ahead and read.
And whosoever offered a sacrifice of peace offerings unto the Lord to accomplish his vow, or a free will offering in beeves or sheep, it shall be perfect to be accepted.
You all see that? He said it's got to be perfect for the Lord to accept it. Go ahead and read.
There shall be no blemish therein. Blind or broken or maimed or having a wing or scurvy or scab, you shall not offer these unto the Lord, nor make an offering by fire of them upon the altar unto the Lord.
Now skip down to verse 29 and read it.
And when you will offer a sacrifice of thanksgiving unto the Lord, offer it at your own will.
And again, the Lord wants you to do this thing willfully. He don't want it to seem like he's making you give him anything, because he really don't need it. Your giving is about you. And that's it, and that is all. So look, let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 9. 2 Corinthians chapter 9. Because it's just like obeying the commandments of God. He ain't making you do nothing. You either want to get into the kingdom or you don't. You either don't want to get in that fire or you doing stuff that's going to get you in that fire. The Lord ain't making you do nothing. He is not a micromanager, brothers and sisters. Everything's going to be your choice. 2 Corinthians 9 and 6. 2 Corinthians 9 and verse 6. Go ahead and read it.
But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly.
Yes.
And he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Every man according as he proposeth in his heart. So let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity.
Go ahead.
For God loveth a cheerful giver.
See, right here, another thing we see about the Lord. He loves a cheerful giver. He don't want a complaining giver. If you're going to complain, keep it. Just like if you're going to do some work around here, if you're going to do it, don't do it. Don't even do it. We'll find somebody to do it. Don't do nothing in here. I'd rather you not do it. I'd rather do everything than have somebody come in, do something, then you got to come behind them and redo it. The Lord is the same way. He said he wants a cheerful giver. Go ahead and continue, brother.
And God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that ye, always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
As it is written, he hath dispersed abroad, he hath given to the poor.
Yes.
His righteousness remaineth forever.
Go ahead.
Now he that ministers seed to the sower, both minister bread for your food, and multiply your seed sown, and increase the fruits of your righteousness.
Yes, sir. So this is the Lord we talking about. Go ahead and read.
Being enriched in everything to all bountifulness.
Yes.
which causes through us thanksgiving to God.
It should cause thanksgiving to God if He's giving you everything you need. It's supposed to, but is it? I was at the BART station, saw a brother walk out there with a sweater to say self-made. Huh? Man, you're not self-made. How you make yourself? We're going to find out that you're not self-made. But some people think that. They say, hey, man, I went to school. I went and got that master's degree. And I got that PhD. I did that. Oh, you did? That's right, brother. Who gave you them eyes to see? Who made it so you can walk? Who gave you that sane mind? Because you can just walk 2 blocks that way and you will see 5 people before you get 2 blocks who are not sane. Just walk that way 2 blocks, this way right here. Okay? So how are you self-made? But we're going to read that today. Let's go to Philippians chapter 4, my brother. Philippians 4. We just want one verse right here, verse 19. Because people think they really do think. I think Rick Ross said in one of his songs, he's self-made. How you make yourself, brother? Philippians 4, we just want one verse, verse 19. Philippians 4 and 19. Go ahead and read it.
But my God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory by Christ Jesus.
Well, did this book say he gonna supply some of your needs?
All your needs.
The book said he supply them all. That's what the book say. Let's go into Genesis chapter 2 and look at something. We are going to, before we get into a man robbing the Lord, we are just trying to show you who he is first. And I hope y'all don't mind. Go look at this God. Genesis chapter 2, my brother. We're going to start at verse 8. Genesis 2 and verse 8. Go ahead and read it.
And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden. And there he put the man whom he had formed.
Okay, so if the Lord planted the garden in east in Eden, go ahead and read.
And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. The tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
So the books say that God made them trees grow, the ones that grow with your food on it. It didn't say Cain made that stuff grow. Did it? It said God made them grow. But as we're going to see later, Cain was acting like he caused the stuff to grow out the ground when it came time for him to offer to the Lord. His offer wasn't perfect and the Lord didn't accept it. He probably was thinking, well, why would I take this big juicy fruit and give it to the Lord? I can just get one that failed 2 days ago. Maybe I'll take that to him and he'll accept that. Because I don't want to give up the ones I can still eat. No, brother, you give him that one so he can make 5 more grow right here on your tree. You see what I'm saying? See, that's the part this man missed. That's the part we miss right there. The book say he made the stuff to grow, not Cain. So you have to acknowledge God and be thankful for the things he's given you and give him thanksgiving so he can keep giving to you. Okay, Lord, give me $1. Okay, here your dime. Give me another $1. Okay, boom, here your dime back. Give me another $1, here your dime. Who's winning right there? Huh? What verse was that, brother? That was the end of 9. Skip down, let's read verse 19. What that verse say, brother?
And out of the ground, the Lord God formed every beast of the field.
How many of the beasts?
Every beast.
The Lord made every animal come out of here. Okay, go ahead and read.
And every fowl of the air. And brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof.
Go ahead.
And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam, there was not found and help meet for him. So the Lord made all the animals. He made all the fruit trees and everything like that. As we read in Psalm 50, all of this is his, okay? So now let's go into that 4th chapter of Genesis and let's pick up Cain and Abel. Genesis 4 and verse 1. Genesis 4 and 1. Go ahead and read. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, And Cain said, I have gotten a man from the Lord.
Uh-huh.
And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of the sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground.
So Abel dealt with the animals, Cain dealt with the plants and the trees. Okay, go ahead and read.
And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord.
And that probably was literal right there. But go ahead and read.
And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock.
Wait a minute. He brought the what of the flock? The firstlings. He brought the firstlings, okay? Not the thirdlings and fifthlings. Go ahead.
And the fat thereof.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
But unto Cain and to his offering, he had not respect.
See, we already let you know what the Lord respect. He respect a perfect offering. Okay? And then he wants a cheerful giver. Okay? Go ahead and read, brother.
And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen?
Go ahead.
If thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted?
And if you do well, the Lord will accept whatever it is you giving to him. Go ahead and read.
And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door.
But if you don't do well, sin lies at the door, brothers and sisters. Because we already know that once you dive off into one move like that, then it's easy to add another one on top of another one and another one on top of that. Go ahead and read.
And unto thee shall be his desire.
Yes.
And thou shalt rule over him.
Okay, so now let's go into Matthew chapter 4 real quick, show you something else about this God. Because what a lot of people don't know is when they looking at Jesus in the flesh, in the Gospels, they don't know that he was the God back there in the Garden of Eden. They don't know that he's the one that gave Moses those laws. He came in the flesh, brothers and sisters. And if you keep coming around here, we can show you that plainly. We have lessons to show you that. But today we're not dealing with it. Today we're dealing with the question, will this man rob God? Matthew chapter 4, verse 23. Matthew 4 and 23. Let's look at something else about this God on top of owning everything and creating everything. Go ahead and read.
And Jesus went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom.
Yes.
And healing all manner of sickness.
And healing all manner of sicknesses. Go ahead.
And all manner of disease.
Yes.
Among the people.
Go ahead.
And his fame went throughout all Syria. And they brought unto him all sick people that were taken with divers diseases and torments.
Yes.
And those which were possessed with devils. And those which were lunatic. And those that had the palsy.
Yes.
And he healed them.
Y'all see that, brothers and sisters? This God that we dealing with right here, he healed all sicknesses and diseases, torments, people with devils, people with palsies, and even if you mentally a lunatic, okay? This God can heal you on top of owning everything. And you say you self-made? Okay, let's keep going. Deuteronomy 32 and 39. Deuteronomy chapter 32. We are just trying to show you about this God we dealing with. If he's going to get his just due from you, okay? And he told you he don't need it, he wouldn't take nothing from you. And if you want to keep it all to yourself, knock yourself out. He don't need nothing you got. Deuteronomy 32 and 39. Go ahead and read it.
See now that I, even I, am he. And there is no God with me. I kill.
He kills.
And I make alive.
He make alive.
I wound.
He wound.
And I heal.
And we read that. Go ahead and read.
Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand.
And that's why y'all have to understand this here. If the Lord wants you dead, ain't nobody gonna save you. And if he wants you alive, ain't nothing nobody can do to you. Okay? We can read these things and we believe them, all right? Let's go back into Matthew chapter 11. Look at something else about this God. We're going to get to whether or not you can rob him. Y'all just be patient. Let's go Matthew 11 and pick it up at that first verse. Matthew chapter 11 in the first verse, and today's title is, Will a Man Rob God? And y'all know these false prophets, they love this title. But they love to pick your pocket. And they shove that tray down your throat 5 or 6 times, right? We don't pass trays here. We got a box in the back and we have online. You just do whatever you do. Ain't nobody making you do nothing, but we do have to teach this word of God to you. So like I said, so you can make informed decisions about what's best for you and your house, okay? Matthew chapter 11, verse 1. Go ahead and read it, brother.
And it came to pass, when Jesus had made an end of commanding his 12 disciples, he departed thence to teach and to preach in their cities.
Yes.
Now when John had heard in the prison the works of Christ, he sent 2 of his disciples and said unto them, Art thou he that should come, or do we look for another? Jesus answered and said unto them, Go and show John again those things which ye do hear and see.
So Jesus didn't even answer the brothers. They said, Are you the one that's coming, or should we just look for somebody else? He said, I tell you what, check this out, and then you go tell John what you just saw, and he'll have his answer then. Go ahead and read.
The blind received their sight.
The blind people received their sight by his hand. Go ahead.
And the lame walk.
Yes.
The lepers are cleansed. And the deaf hear. The dead are raised up.
Yes.
And the poor have the gospel preached unto them.
He said, you go tell John that. Because I can do that. I can make the lame walk. I can make the blind see. Okay? I can heal all manner of sicknesses and diseases. You go tell him that, all right? So now, let's go into Malachi 3, and this is where we got this title from. We got this title right here out of Malachi. Malachi chapter 3, my brother, we're going to pick it up at that 8th verse. Malachi is right in front of Matthew. Will a man rob the Lord? Will a man rob God? He'll definitely try. He'll rob you at any chance he get. I pulled up here last weekend. A sister told me, Brother James, some dude out there looking in your car. Just last week. They'll rob you. They'll rob the Lord. They'll rob whoever. Okay. Malachi 3 and 8. Go ahead and read it.
Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me.
So the Lord saying, yet you have robbed me. Go ahead and read.
But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee?
But then you turn and ask, Lord, well, Lord, how did we rob you? Go ahead and read.
In tithes and offerings.
In tithes and in offerings. Go ahead and read.
Ye are cursed with a curse. For ye have robbed me, even this whole nation.
Go ahead.
Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house.
Yes.
And prove me now herewith, said the Lord of hosts.
See, the Lord is saying, prove me on this right here. What else did he tell you to prove him on? He's telling you to prove him right here. And let's see what he say. Go ahead and read.
If I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing.
Yes, sir.
And there shall not be room enough to receive it.
Did we get that? Did we get that, brothers and sisters? The Lord say, prove me. Prove me on this right here. He's saying, do your part and then watch me and see what I do to you. You won't even be able to handle the stuff I'm going to drop down on you. The blessings I'm going to pour on you. You'll have to give some to somebody else. I'll give you so much. But some of us ain't ready for that. We're not ready for that, brothers and sisters. Go ahead and read.
And I will rebuke the devourer for your sake. And he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground. Neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, said the Lord of hosts.
Go ahead.
And all nations shall call ye blessed.
He said, if you do that, then all the nations will call you blessed. Go ahead.
For ye shall be a delightsome land, said the Lord of hosts.
But we know they didn't do that. But the Lord said they robbed him. Because think about it, brothers and sisters. We are on an earth that the Lord created, right? You in a body that he created. You breathing the breath of life that he gave you, and you ain't never seen it. But if somebody stopped it, you gonna die on the spot. Okay? You operate with the brain he gave you. You eating off the animals and the plants that he put here. And then you using all those abilities he gave you to walk, to see, to hear, to speak, to think clearly. But some people don't want to give the Lord his thanks. While I'm running my mouth, let's go to Genesis 28. It's almost, anybody ever stayed in an Airbnb before or a hotel? That's like going to an Airbnb. They coming over, keeping the linen clean for you. They got the pantry and the refrigerator stocked. They got some nice Rachel Ray pots and pans in there for you to cook in. Huh? And then you leave the Airbnb and you don't want to pay. Well, I walked up the stairs and I was the one that walked up those stairs. It was me that turned that knob to get into this Airbnb. Huh? So I'm not paying. That's how we handle God. We look at all these things he's blessed us with and we can't even thank him. But we'll go down to Casa del Toro and tip that waitress. Huh? And you can't get a Lord nothing for all the stuff he gets. See, you just thanking the waitress for the good service. Okay? Some people even send a tip back to the cook. Compliments to the chef. But when it comes to you trying to get a Lord something so you can have a place like this to come to that's clean with some comfortable seats, lights on, heaters. I said that lightly because it's cold up in here. Speakers, microphones, furniture. When we have a feast, we have good food and good wine. Where that money come from if it don't come from us? Huh? But some people don't want to thank the Lord with thanksgiving like he's telling us to do that. Let's go Genesis 28 and go to verse 20. Genesis 28 and 20. And let's look at this, brother. Genesis 28 and 20. 28 and 20. Go ahead and read.
And Jacob vowed a vow, saying, if God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go,
yes,
and will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace.
Yes.
Then shall the Lord be my God.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
And this stone, which I have set for a pillar, shall be God's house.
Yes.
And of all that thou shalt give me, I will surely give the 10th unto thee.
Do y'all see that, brothers and sisters? This brother know who butters his bread. And he say, if everything the Lord give me, I'm going to give him a 10th right back. Okay? So now, let's go into Psalm 57. Psalm 57. Hey, but some people, hey, they just not ready. And you think the Lord going to let you hit a Powerball of 48 million? You can't even do right with the $60,000 job you got by the Lord. Why would he let you get your hands on that kind of money to go out there and kill yourself? Psalm 57, verse 2, 57 and 2. Go ahead and read it.
I will cry unto God Most High.
Yes.
Unto God that performeth all things for me.
Wait a minute. He performed all things for you, brothers and sisters. You see that? He does that. So now let's go back to Genesis 14. Let's look at something that Abraham did. Genesis 14. I should have told y'all we were coming right back to Genesis. Sorry about that. Genesis 14. And let's start at verse 14. Genesis 14 and 14. See, sometimes we'll wake up in the morning and instead of thanking the Lord, like my brother Andre said, for waking us up, that we got a roof over our heads and that when we hit the light switch, the lights come on. And if we want to go to the fridge and make a sandwich, we can. The first thing we do, we pull up TikTok and Facebook. Huh? Y'all know I ain't lying. That's the first thing we pull up. Won't thank the Lord for nothing. Taking everything for granted that some people wish they had that you have. Okay? Genesis 14 and 14. Go ahead and read it.
And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive,
Mm-hmm.
he gathered his trained servants, born in his own house,
Mm-hmm.
318,
Yes.
and pursued them unto Dan.
Now skip down to 16 and continue.
And he brought back all the goods,
Mm-hmm.
and also brought back his brother Lot,
Mm-hmm.
and his goods, and the women also, and the people.
So Abraham went and saved his nephew and all of these other people that had been taken by these kings. So Abraham went over there with his servants and got all the people. And then he took all the goods and brought that back too. Now, I told y'all I was at the BART station the other day, right? Caught a couple of young brothers coming out, gave them some flyers, and I'm talking to them about the subject that was on that particular flyer, which is the Sabbath day being on Saturday, the seventh day of the week. This other brother, this third brother walked up, slightly older. He's probably a little younger than me. And I gave him one of the cards, and we started talking, and he asked me who I was and where I was from. I said, man, I'm Israel. Then he said, okay, that's what I'm talking about. I'm Israel too. So I continued talking to them other young brothers, right? So then once I kind of stopped talking, he said, oh, by the way, y'all know ain't no such thing as tithes either. I was like, oh, Lord, here we go. Here we go. Then he said, yeah, man, go see when Abraham got that land, he paid tithes, which he gave some of that land for tithes. I said, man, Abraham came back with goods, man. But I said, you know what? It's time for me to leave. Because you always gonna run up on one of these jakes that know everything, but you don't know nothing. You just repeating what you heard somebody say. It said Abraham came back with goods right here. He brought back all the goods and also brought again his brother Lot and his goods and the women also and the people. But this brother out there talking about Abraham gave some land as tithes. But skip down, my brother, to verse 18 and continue.
And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine.
Yes.
And he was the priest of the Most High God.
Uh-huh.
And he blessed him and said, blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth.
See, maybe if you gave the Lord some thanksgiving, then he'll say, blessed be you. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead and read.
And blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thine enemies into thy hand.
See, we read that Abraham and his servants went over there and dealt with them people, right? But we see right here, it said, and blessed be the Most High God, which delivered your enemies into your hand. See, that's why we went and read that Psalm 57 and 2. It said, the Lord perform all things for you. Okay? He delivered them people into Abraham's hand. Go ahead and read.
And he gave him tithes of all.
He gave him tithes of what, brother?
Of all.
Tithes of all. Go ahead and read.
And the king of Sodom said unto Abram, give me the persons and take the goods to thyself.
Uh-huh.
And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up mine hand unto the Lord, the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth.
See, we started off in Psalm 50. The Lord, this is his earth, brothers and sisters. Okay, go ahead and read.
And I will not take from a thread, even to a shoe latchet.
Uh-huh.
And that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abram rich.
Go ahead.
Save only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men which went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre, let them take their portion.
So when the kings tried to give Abraham a reward, he was like, look, man, I don't want nothing you got, brother, because I don't want you to say you made me rich. Because the only thing Abraham wanted to be said is that the Lord blessed him and made him like that. So he said, you have all that stuff, but he gave a tenth to the Lord, though. Okay? He knew to do that. So now, let's go into Proverbs chapter 3 real quick. And we're going to start at verse 9. Proverbs 3 and 9. Proverbs chapter 3, and let's pick it up at verse 9. Proverbs 3 and 9. Proverbs 3 and 9. Go ahead and read it.
Honor the Lord with thy substance,
Yes.
and with the first fruits of all thy increase.
So we see he said, honor the Lord with the first fruits of all thine increase, like Abel did. He gave him the firstlings and the fatlings, not the scraps that's left over. Go ahead and read.
So shall thy barns be filled with plenty,
Uh-huh.
and thy presses shall burst out with new wine.
See, that takes us back to Malachi 3, where the Lord say, prove me. Do your end and watch and see what I'll do for you. See, I learned this a long time ago, before I even ran into the truth of this Bible. I remember this was back in probably 99. I was working at a post office on the south side of Chicago. One of them older brothers, we was in there on a Sunday for the special delivery stuff. And so I'm a supervisor and all the special messengers out on the street. So me and him in the building. He was like, hey, James, man, you ever notice when you pay tithes, man, everything in your life financially go right? He said, but when you stop, it's like water getting poured into your hands. You can't even hold it. That's what that brother told me. He said, man, every time I don't pay tithes, he said, man, I don't never have enough money. He said, and I don't know why I keep stopping. He said, but every time I pay, man, I have enough money to take care of everything I need. That brother told me that back in 99. Okay. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start paying attention to myself and see if that worked out for me. And I started paying attention. When I didn't pay, it was trouble. When I paid, I had everything I needed. And I remember going through a period some years after that where I basically didn't have anywhere to live. And my son used to watch me. He was about 6 or 7 then. I used to say, hey, every time I got some money, I had this, somebody gave me a coffee can. You know them big coffee cans, like Folgers or whatever. I ripped the label off, but I still had that lid on it. Every time I got some money, I put 10% in that can. My son would say, what's that for, Dad? And I said, that's for the day we step into a church, we leaving that at that church. He would say, when we going? I said, I don't know. But I would put that 10% in there. So I was training him that then, even in the midst of me not having nowhere to live to call my own place. Y'all know what I'm saying? And so, and from there, I ran into the Israeli God, okay? And my life has totally changed since then. I haven't been without since I ran into the Lord. And I'm going to say that, okay? So train your children the right way. Don't let them go around thinking they self-made. So the Lord is just like he said in Malachi, prove me. And it's kind of like he's saying that here. He's saying, honor the Lord with all thy substance and with the first fruits of all thy increase, right? And he say, so shall thy barns be filled with plenty. He's saying, prove them again. Don't take nobody's word. Just try it for yourself and see what happens, okay? So now, let's go back into Numbers, the 18th chapter. Numbers 18, because you will run into these brothers. Well, ain't no such thing as tithe. The Levites this, the Levites that. The Levites this and the Levites that. So, man, you might need to go get Pete Rock to make a track for you or Dr. Dre or somebody. Or get Dr. Dre or somebody lay a track down that sound like you trying to drop some lyrics out here. The Levites this and the Levites that. Okay, man. Numbers 18, we're going to pick it up at verse 20. 18 and 20. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord spake unto Aaron, thou shalt have no inheritance in their land, neither shalt thou have any part among them. I am thy part, and thine inheritance among the children of Israel.
So the Lord told Aaron concerning him and the rest of them Levites, he said, you're not going to get a part of this land. He said, I'm your part of this inheritance. How about that? The Lord told Levi, he said, hey, I'm your inheritance. I'll take that over land any day.
Any day.
Go ahead and read.
And behold, I have given the children of Levi all the tenth in Israel for an inheritance.
He said, listen, everything that the rest of them 11 tribes come up with, you get a 10th part of it. Let's find out why. Go ahead.
For their service which they serve. Even the service of the tabernacle of the congregation.
He said, for your service, the other 11 families got to give you tithes. 1/10 of everything they do, since they have the land, right? Skip down and can pick it up at 23.
But the Levites shall do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they shall bear their iniquity.
Yes.
It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, that among the children of Israel they have no inheritance.
Go ahead.
But the tithes of the children of Israel, which they offer as an heave offering unto the Lord, I have given to the Levites to inherit.
Yes.
Therefore I have said unto them, among the children of Israel they shall have no inheritance.
So whatever is, however the other 11 families increase, the Levites got 1/10 of that, okay? Because they were the ones in the tabernacle doing the service inside, outside, and out around it, okay? So that's how they got what they needed to get along in life, okay? So now let's go into Luke chapter 18. Luke 18, and let's check out what Jesus is about to say right here about this little story here. Luke chapter 18, and let's pick it up at verse 9. Luke 18 and 9. So the other 11 families, that was their way of thanking the Levites for handling that business, because it should have been everybody's firstborn, but the Lord say, I'm gonna let the Levites sit and do this instead of the firstborn of Dan, the firstborn of Gad, the firstborn of Judah, and the firstborn of Simeon. We just gonna let Levi do that. So the other 11 families, that was their thanksgiving to Levi for doing that work. So Thanksgiving goes around, y'all. So Luke 18 and 9, my brother, 18 and verse 9. Go ahead and read it.
And he spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves, and that they were righteous and despised others.
Yes.
2 men went up into the temple to pray, the one a Pharisee and the other a publican.
Yes, sir.
The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself. God, I thank thee that I am not as other men, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican.
Okay, so you got this Pharisee in there praying that Jesus telling this parable, and the Pharisee is, in his mind, he's setting his good works on the table. He probably ain't sitting his bad works up there, but he's sitting up there his good ones, right? He says, I'm glad I'm not like these other people. They're extortioners, they're unjust, and they're adulterers, right? Go ahead and continue.
I fast twice in the week.
He said, hey, I fast twice a week. That's him praying to the Lord. Now, what else did he say he does?
I give tithes of all that I possess.
Y'all see that? So the man is saying, hey, I give tithes of all. So in that, he even putting it as some of his goodness and his righteousness that he's doing. And so we've already read that you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to give the Lord all the first fruits of your increase, brothers and sisters. But I just went there to show you that even in this man, what Jesus telling this parable, thinking that he's right, he set that on the table as well. So now let's go into Leviticus, the 27th chapter, and get to the nitty gritty. Leviticus 27. Leviticus 27, and we're going to start at verse 30. 27 and 30. 27 and 30. And let's pay close attention to what's being said right here. The title of this lesson is, Will a Man Rob God? Will he? Leviticus 27 and verse 30. Go ahead and read it.
And all the tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land or of the fruit of the tree, is the Lord's.
Yes.
It is holy unto the Lord.
So the Lord said right here, he said, it is holy unto the Lord. We got that, right? Go ahead and read.
And if a man will at all redeem out of his tithes, he shall add thereto the fifth part thereof. Okay, so the Lord telling you, if you redeem your tithes, when you do come back around and take, let's just say for round figure's sake, you're supposed to pay $100 this particular time, right? And you spend that 100 on something else. When you come back, you got to add a fifth to that.
So instead of that 100, it's got to be 120 when you come back to do that. Kind of like what they call today interest. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Read that verse again, brother.
And if a man will at all redeem out of his tithes, he shall add thereto the fifth part of it.
So if you one of those people that you do stuff like that, and I used to be real good for redeeming mine, and I had to keep real good records of what to do when I come back to it. But I'm thankful that the Lord allowed me to get past that. Well, I don't have to do that anymore. You see what I'm saying? But if you start doing that, you better keep you some good records, because the Lord keep records. So keep your records tight. Go ahead and read.
And concerning the tithe of the herd,
Yeah.
or of the flock, even of whatsoever passeth under the rod, the tenth shall be holy unto the Lord.
See, the Lord is telling you a tenth is holy to the Lord. The tenth of whatever you get is holy to the Lord. So if you dealing with that holy part of it, you better be careful. A tenth is holy to the Lord now. Go ahead and skip down and read verse 34.
These are the commandments which the Lord commanded Moses.
Yeah.
For the children of Israel in Mount Sinai.
Okay, so Moses didn't make that up. That came from the Lord. So let's go to 1 Kings chapter 8. Because when something is holy to the Lord, you better be careful on how you handle that. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 8. If it's holy to God, you better handle it with care. That's what I can tell you. And we're going to read that. 1 Kings chapter 8, and let's pick it up at that first verse. Whatever is holy to God, you had better be real careful on how you handle that and deal with it. 1 Kings 8 and 1. Go ahead and read, brother.
Then Solomon assembled the elders of Israel and all the heads of the tribes.
Yes.
The chief of the fathers of the children of Israel. And unto King Solomon in Jerusalem, that they might bring up the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of the city of David, which is in Zion.
Go ahead.
And all the men of Israel assembled themselves unto King Solomon at the feast in the month Ethanim, which is the 7th month.
Go ahead.
And all the elders of Israel came, and the priests took up the ark. And they brought up the ark of the Lord and the tabernacle of the congregation. And all the holy vessels.
And all the what?
All the holy vessels.
Holy vessels they brought up. This is when Solomon did the dedication of the house, the dedication of the altar, after he had rebuilt this temple, after he built this temple, right? So it says these were some holy vessels. Go ahead and finish that.
And all the holy vessels that were in the tabernacle, even those did the priests and the Levites bring up.
See, we see these vessels are holy. So now let's go into Daniel chapter 5, because some years down the road, Nebuchadnezzar in Babylon came, tore Israel down to the ground, burned up everything, but they took all those holy vessels up to Babylon with them. Okay? Now, Nebuchadnezzar just put them away. He didn't deal with them. But after he died and was taken off the throne, his son takes over. His son has a party one day and decides he want to go get those holy vessels that's holy to the Lord and start dealing with them. Let's see what happened. Daniel 5 and verse 1. Go ahead and read.
Belshazzar the king made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords.
Yes.
And drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar, whilst he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein.
Now, see, they was already drinking out of some cups and stuff. They was doing fine. Why you just couldn't keep drinking out the regular cups, brother? Now, let's get them holy ones. Let's go get them golden cups and the silver ones, right? The stuff that's holy to the Lord, and let's start mishandling that stuff. Go ahead and read.
Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was at Jerusalem.
I'm talking about the holy vessels that Solomon had put up there, okay? Go ahead and read.
And the king and his princes, his wives and his concubines drank in them.
Mm-hmm.
They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone.
So look, it says, so while they was drinking out of God's holy vessels, brothers and sisters, they praised the gods of gold, the god of silver and brass, iron, wood, and stone. Let's see if any of those gods gonna save this brother for mishandling God's holy stuff. Go ahead and read.
In the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed.
Of course it was. Go ahead.
And his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees smote one against another.
See that his knees started clicking and clacking together. He got so scared when he saw that hand come over and write on that wall. Okay, skip down to verse 9, my brother, 9, and continue.
Then was King Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his lords were astonished.
See, look, so then he gets all scared. He sent for his wise men to try to figure out what that hand wrote on the wall, and they couldn't figure that out. But they say, hey, there's this man of the captives, Israel, Daniel. He can tell you what that is. And that's always the case. Israel have the answers from God, brothers and sisters. And if people want the answers, they got to come get them from us. It's all that simple. Okay? So look, let's skip on down to verse 13 and continue. Go ahead and read.
Then was Daniel brought in before the king. And the king spake and said unto Daniel, art thou Daniel, which art of the children of the captivity of Judah, whom the king my father brought out of Jewry? I have even heard of thee, that the spirit of the gods is in thee, and that light and understanding and the excellent wisdom is found in thee.
And that is true. And that's how everybody should be looking at us, okay? It should be just like that. But skip down and pick it up at verse 16.
And I have heard of thee, that thou canst make interpretations and dissolve doubts. Now if thou canst read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, thou shalt be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about thy neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom.
Y'all see the offers that he made today. That's how scared he was. He said, I'll make you one of the rulers in the kingdom. I'm going to give you a gold chain around your neck. I'm going to give you new clothes and everything. But what did Daniel say to the king? Go ahead.
Then Daniel answered and said before the king, let thy gifts be to thyself.
Daniel said, you let your gifts be to yourself, okay? I don't want them, don't need them. Go ahead and read.
And give thy rewards to another.
Give it to somebody else.
Yet I will read the writing unto the king and make known to him the interpretation.
Go ahead.
O thou king, the most high God gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom and majesty and glory and honor.
See, Daniel let him know, hey, the Lord God of heaven gave your dad this kingdom, right? So Daniel just running everything on down to him. So skip down and pick it up at verse 22.
And thou his son, O Belshazzar, has not humbled thine heart, though thou knew all this.
He's saying, your dad didn't humble himself. The Lord knocked him down. Now you won't even humble yourself, even though you saw the Lord had your dad out there in the forest for 7 years, crawling around with his hair grown out like a beast, with his nails out here. And you knew that happened. And you still won't humble yourself. Go ahead and read.
But hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven.
Yes.
And they have brought the vessels of his house before thee. And thou, thy lords, thy wives, and thy concubines have drunk wine in them.
So this is what y'all did with the Lord's holy stuff. Go ahead and read.
And thou hast praised the gods of silver and gold, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know.
So all these gods you praising, they can't see, can't hear, and they don't know anything. Go ahead and read.
And the God in whose hand thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways, hast thou not glorified.
And then he let them know that breath that you breathing, it belongs to the true and living God. And you ain't gave him no praise. Okay, go ahead and read.
Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written.
He said that hand you saw, it came from that God that you didn't praise, the one who gave you that breath of life. Okay, go ahead and read.
And this is the writing that was written. Mene, Mene, Tekel, Upharsin. And this is the interpretation of the thing. Mene, God have numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances and art found wanting.
Go ahead.
Perez, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians.
Go ahead.
Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a chain of gold about his neck and made a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. And that night, Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain.
Look at that. He got killed that same night. Because he took of the Lord's holy vessels and misused them. Misused them. And I just went here to show you, when the Lord tell you a 10th part of the way he give you is holy to him, and you mishandle it and misuse it, hey, that's on you. And you got to be careful with that. So now, let's go into 2 Chronicles 24, because you will run into the people that will say, oh, man, you ain't supposed to pay tithe with money. Hey, man, you pay tithe with whatever the medium of exchange is. When he was at Mount Sinai, Israel was out there among themselves. Then, of course, hey, if you give me 2 sheep, I can give you some oil, or I can give you some seeds or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That was the medium of exchange, even though they left Egypt with gold, but they was out at Mount Sinai, okay? So look, let's hit 2 Chronicles 24. 2 Chronicles chapter 24, and let's pick it up at verse 2. 2 Chronicles 24 and 22. Because I guarantee you, if you try to pay PG&E with some corn seeds, your light's gonna get cut off. You try that. 2 Chronicles 24 and verse 2. 2 Chronicles chapter 24, and let's pick it up at verse 2. Go ahead and read it.
And Joash did that which was right in the sight of the Lord all the days of Jehoiada the priest.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
And Jehoiada took for him 2 wives, and he begat sons and daughters. And it came to pass after this that Joash was minded to repair the house of the Lord. And he gathered together the priests and the Levites and said unto them, go out into the cities of David and gather all Israel money.
Cities of Judah.
Excuse me. And he said unto them, go out into the cities of Judah and gather of all Israel money to repair the house of your God from year to year, and see that ye hasten the matter. Howbeit the Levites hastened it not.
See, look, he told them to go get money so they can repair the house of the Lord. Go ahead and read.
And the king called for Jehoiada the chief and said unto him, why hast thou not required of the Levites to bring in out of Judah and out of Jerusalem the collection, according to the commandment of Moses, the servant of the Lord, and of the congregation of Israel, for the tabernacle of witness?
So he asked them, why haven't you done this? Skip on down to verse 8 and continue.
And the king's commandment, they made a chest and set it without the gate of the house of the Lord. And they made a proclamation through Judah and Jerusalem to bring in to the Lord the collection that Moses, the servant of God, laid upon Israel in the wilderness.
Go ahead.
And all the princes and all the people rejoiced and brought in and cast into the chest until they had made an end. And it came to pass that at what time the chest was brought unto the king's office by the hand of the Levites.
Go ahead.
And when they saw that there was much money, the king's scribe and the king's priest officer came and emptied the chest and took it and carried it to his place again. Thus they did day by day and gathered money in abundance.
See, I just went here to show y'all that there was money being used. But let's get one more verse, verse 12. What did it say?
And the king and Jehoiada gave it to such as did the work of the service of the house of the Lord, and hired masons.
They hired masons
and carpenters
to
repair the house of the Lord. And also such as wrought iron and brass to mend the house of the Lord.
So that's what the money was used for, to keep the house of the Lord serviceable. Okay. And that's what we have to do with this money even today. Like you have, like Brother Thin called me last night. He was at the airport getting ready to fly. He teaching somewhere today. Right after we finished the show last night, he called me. But this money pays for these brothers to travel. It pays for hotels. It pays for the rental cars. It pays for these lights. Like we don't get one bill come to this building. All of them go to Riverdale, and it gets paid from that office. Okay. So to keep this ministry going, that's what we do. Okay. So, and we don't use chickens and cows to pay these people. All right. So now let's go into Haggai, because I just wanted to show you that, hey, the money was used to keep the house of the Lord in order. But let's go to Haggai and let the Lord weigh in right here and show you something. Because guess what? We definitely gonna go make sure our house is well put together, right? You gonna make sure your house in order. Why you don't make sure the Lord's house is in order? The one that you breathe in his air. The one that you taking advantage of that brain he gave to you. The one that you living on his planet. Huh? The one that gave you that ability to walk around and to hear when somebody say something to you. Him. Why you don't make sure his house is taken care of? Haggai, chapter 1, verse 1. Go ahead and read it.
In the second year of Darius the king, in the 6th month, in the first day of the month, came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet.
Yes.
Unto Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and to Joshua, the son of Josedek, the high priest, saying, Thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, saying, This people say, the time is not come, the time that the Lord's house should be built. Then came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet, saying, Is it time for you?
It is time for you.
It is time.
Is it time for you? Go ahead. Verse 4. Go start it back over. I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead.
Is it time for you, O ye, to dwell in your sealed houses?
Sealed houses.
Sealed houses. And this house lie waste?
So the Lord asking the question, is it time for you to dwell in your houses with good ceilings and good walls and doors while the house of the Lord lie waste? Go ahead and read.
Now therefore, thus said the Lord of hosts, consider your ways. Ye have sown much.
So the Lord is telling you to consider your ways, brothers and sisters. He's saying you have sown much. Go ahead and read.
And bring in little.
You sown a lot, but you bring in little. Go ahead.
Ye eat. But ye have not enough.
You are eating, but you never have enough to eat. Go ahead and read.
Ye drink. But ye are not filled with drink.
You drinking, but you are not filled with drink. Go ahead.
Ye clothe you. But there is none warm.
You got on clothes, but you're not warm enough. Go ahead and read.
And he that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes.
And the one that earned a wage, you earning wages to put it into a bag with some holes in it. If you putting your money in a bag with holes, then your money falling clean out that bag. I wonder why. Go ahead and read.
Thus said the Lord of hosts. Consider your ways.
Again, consider your ways, Israel. Go ahead.
Go up to the mountain and bring wood and build the house, and I will take pleasure in it. And I will be glorified, said the Lord.
Go ahead.
You looked for much, and lo, it came to little.
You wanted a lot. You looked for a lot, but it came to little. Go ahead.
And when you brought it home, I did blow upon it.
How about this here? The Lord say, when you did, you look for a little, but you look for a lot, but you got a little. And when you brought that little bit home, I blew on that. What y'all think happened if the Lord is blowing on your little money? Huh?
Gone.
Just imagine some sand in your hand and you blow, what's going to happen to them sand pieces? It's going to fly all over the place. You definitely won't have possession of it. So the Lord said, hey, I blew upon it. And he said, why? Go ahead and read.
Why? Said the Lord of hosts. Because of mine house that is waste.
Yes.
And ye run every man into his own house.
He said, because my house lying in waste, but you run into your house. Go ahead and read.
Therefore the heaven over you is stayed from dew. And the earth is stayed from her fruit.
He said, the heaven over you ain't gonna rain on your crop. And the earth is stayed from her fruit. Go ahead and read.
And I called for a drought upon the land. And upon the mountains. And upon the corn. And upon the new wine. And upon the oil. And upon that which the ground bringeth forth. And upon men. And upon cattle. And upon all the labor of the hands.
How many of y'all want the Lord to call a drought on the labor of your hands? You don't want that. But the Lord say you want a lot, but you got a little bit. And then when you brought that little bit home, since you didn't give me my holy part, that tent, I'm going to blow on your little stuff. You keep that. And then your little come to nothing. Okay? Let's go into Luke chapter 16 and let's look at something. This is a clear principle right here. Luke chapter 16. We just have 5 more places left. We almost done, y'all. We making good time. Luke chapter 16. And let's pick it up at verse 10. Luke 16 and verse 10. Go ahead and read it.
He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. He that is unjust in least is unjust also in much.
Do y'all see that? Do we see that? Read that one more time, brother.
He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. And he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much.
Y'all see that, brothers and sisters? Go ahead and read.
If therefore ye have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches?
Go ahead. So look at what the Lord is saying here. He's saying if you faithful in a little something, then you can be trusted to be faithful in a lot of something. Okay? But if you unjust in a little something, the Lord ain't gonna trust you with nothing else. You can't even handle this little piece I'm giving you because you think you did that. But go ahead and read, brother.
And if ye have not been faithful in that which is another man's, who shall give you that which is your own?
You see that? So the whole thing is, if you are faithful with a little, then you will be faithful with a lot. So you, at some point in your life, you got to learn to start being faithful to God and doing the things he expects you to do. And whatever that you have that's holy to him, you got to give that up to him. You got to give it up. You don't want them blowing on your stuff, do you? Now, you have the right to have the Lord blow on your stuff if that's what you want to do. It's your right. If you want the Lord to blow, tell him to blow. Been there, done that, tired of it, okay? I don't want them blowing on nothing of mine, all right? I just want them to bless it. That's all I want them to do with mine, okay? So look, let's go into Matthew chapter 6 real quick. How you going to be faithful with a lot of something you can't handle a little something right? Matthew 6 and 19. Matthew chapter 6 and verse 19. Matthew 6 and verse 19. Go ahead and read it.
Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust do it corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust do it corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal.
Go ahead.
For where your treasure is, There will your heart be also.
So wherever your treasure is, that's where your heart is, brothers and sisters. Wherever your treasure is, that's where your mind is. Okay? How many of y'all have seen Brother Bowie miss a Sabbath day other than when he was sick? He don't miss because his mind is on that kingdom. His mind is on this ministry, just like mine. I don't miss. We say we want to get into that first resurrection. Today, brothers and sisters, let me tell y'all something. Today, right here, this weekly Sabbath day, this day represents Jesus' kingdom on this earth. And if you make the first resurrection, you get in that. And then people will say, well, I'm trying to make that first resurrection. No, you're not. How you trying to make the first resurrection? And you handle the weekly Sabbath like it's some little game that you can just play when you feel like it. Like it's a pickup game at the basketball court in the park. I'm going to just do it when I feel like it and when it's convenient for me. But you want the first resurrection? No, you don't. You want to stand in the judgment line. Sisters, brothers, I'm telling you straight because I want your blood off of me. Today represents Jesus' kingdom, which you will get in if you make that first resurrection. You handle today sloppy, you don't get in that first resurrection. Ain't no way you can get in there if you don't handle it. You can't keep the Sabbath day. This is the one thing that the Lord told Israel, you can stay in your land if you just keep this commandment. He didn't mention adultery, murders, none of that other stuff they was doing. He said, just keep this Sabbath and you can stay in Israel and you can keep a king sitting on your throne. Now we've been kicked out the land. We everywhere else and everybody's foot is on our necks because we couldn't do that one thing. And then you say you want to get into the kingdom that the Lord gonna have on this earth and you want to rule and reign with him. And then this day means nothing to you and you handling it how you want to handle it. And you only come when it's convenient for you to come. Everything, every event and everybody come before this right here. It's my job, brothers and sisters, to be an example to you. And I would tell you that nobody get out their bed this morning not expecting to see me today. Y'all know I'm going to be here. You know Brother Bowie's going to be where he is. And Jeremiah, and Brother Greg, and Antoine, and Thin, and Habakkuk, and Tony P, and ASAP. Every one of us going to be on post today. Because we trying to get that first resurrection. We trying to be an example for you. Where we at, brother? I'm sorry.
That was the end of 21.
We at the end of 21. So the Lord said, wherever your treasure is, that's where your mind is. So if your mind is on that Mary J. Blige concert, you gonna get there on time. You ain't gonna be getting there late. When Chris Rock comes to the Fox Theater, you there on time. Huh? Rain, sleet, or snow. Hey man, I'm going to see them OJs. But then when it comes to this right here, it's whatever. It's whatever. It's whatever. If you sitting in this room, you ain't gonna be able to tell the Lord, brother James, and tell you about that. So do what you will. You ain't got no cloak to hide behind. You have nothing. But you're going to be eyeball to eyeball with your God. And he going to sit all your works on the table because you in the judgment line. And it's going to be whatever you did. Your resume going to get opened up. If you want to skip that line, just strive to make the first resurrection. Then your dirt won't get exposed and looked at in depth. I don't want mine examined. Okay? I'm telling y'all right now, and I know I ain't the only one that feel that way. We have some embarrassing things on our resume, some things that could get us tossed in that fire. So you get in the water, you get them sins washed off you, and you try your best not to add anything to it. Whew, man, I done got way away from will a man rob God. Let's go to 1 Chronicles 21, and we just have 3 more places, y'all. 1 Chronicles 21. 1 Chronicles 21. And I know I told y'all that probably back in March, my younger sister called me. She planned on a trip for March of next year for my family. And she said, well, you got a whole year to get your plan together. Then I said, okay, send me them dates. Because in my house, that's the first thing we looking at. Let me see them dates. She sent me them dates. I saw Saturday right smack in the middle of that. I said, I can't go. She said, why? I said, because I have a job every Sabbath day. And then she said, well, that's why you got a year notice so you can get somebody to fill in for you. It doesn't work like that, sis. I told y'all many years ago, if you do not want me to come, plan it on a Sabbath day, and I won't be there. Okay? I have somewhere else to be. I have some other people that I am their servant. I have to come serve the people that I've been assigned to serve. Okay? 1 Chronicles 21. Let's pick it up at verse 14. First Chronicles 21 and 14, my brother. 21 and 14. Go ahead and read that.
So the Lord sent pestilence upon Israel, and there fell of Israel 70,000 men.
So this is the story where David numbered Israel. Joab tried to talk him out of it, but David did anyway. But the Lord moved him to do it so he can come down and inflict some punishment on Israel, right? He needed that reason, right? But go ahead and read, brother.
And God sent an angel unto Jerusalem to destroy it. And so as he was destroying, the Lord beheld, and he repented him of the evil, and said to the angel that destroyed, it is enough. Stay now thine hand. And the angel of the Lord stood by the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite.
And if you want to know who that angel was, just go take a peek at the first verse in this particular chapter. Just take a peek at that first verse, y'all. In this chapter 21, you will see who that angel was that killed 70,000 people. It was Satan himself. Okay? Go ahead and read.
And David lifted up his eyes and saw the angel of the Lord stand between the earth and the heavens.
Yes.
Having a drawn sword in his hand, stretched out over Jerusalem.
See, the Lord had already told him, stay now thine hand, right? But he still got that sword stretched out. He want to kill some more. Go ahead and read.
Then David and the elders of Israel, who were clothed in sackcloth, fell upon their faces. And David said unto God, is it not I that commanded the people to be numbered? Even I, it is that have sinned and done evil indeed. But as for these sheep, what have they done?
Come on, David, you know what Israel did. These people are stiff-necked, man. David talking about, what has Israel done, Lord? I was the one that numbered the people. You know what they did, David. Go ahead and read.
Let thine hand, I pray thee, O Lord, my God, be on me and on my father's house, but not on thy people, that they should be plagued.
Go ahead.
Then the angel of the Lord commanded Gad to say to David that David should go up and set up an altar unto the Lord in the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite.
Go ahead.
And David went up at the saying of Gad, which he spake in the name of the Lord.
So it's okay. So David went up so he can go do this sacrifice, right? Go to skip down to verse 22 and continue.
Then David said to Ornan, grant me the place of this threshing floor, that I may build an altar therein unto the Lord. Thou shalt grant it me for the full price.
Granted me for what?
For the full price.
So David said, charge me the full price for this spot. Go ahead and read.
That the plague may be stayed from the people.
Go ahead.
And Ornan said unto David, take it to thee, and let my lord the king do that which is good in his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Lo, I give thee the oxen also for burnt offerings,
Mm-hmm.
and the threshing instruments for wood,
Mm-hmm.
and the wheat for the meat offering.
Mm-hmm.
I give it all.
So he said, he's telling David, hey, you don't have to pay me for any of this stuff. I'm going to give you everything. Okay. So what did David say? Go ahead and read.
And King David said to Ornan, Nay, but I will verily buy it for the full price.
Mm-hmm.
For I will not take that which is thine for the Lord, nor offer burnt offerings without cost.
Do y'all see what David's saying right here, brothers and sisters? Do y'all understand what he's saying? He said, man, how I'm going to take something for free from you and then offer it to the Lord, man? It's got to cost me something if I'm going to offer it. Do y'all see this? Do we see this? David said, nah, sir, I can't take this stuff and then offer it to the Lord, man. He said, listen, man. He said, for I will not take that which is thine for the Lord, nor offer burnt offerings without cost. It's got to cost you something. Go ahead and read.
So David gave to Ornan for the place 600 shekels of gold by weight.
He gave the man 600 shekels of gold by weight. Can somebody real quick Google that and see what that's worth today for me, please? But go ahead and read.
And David built there an altar unto the Lord, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings, and called upon the Lord. And he answered him from heaven by fire upon the altar of the burnt offering.
Go ahead.
And the Lord commanded the angel, and he put up his sword again into the sheath thereof.
So after David did that sacrifice that he had to pay 600 shekels of gold weight for, then the Lord told that angel one more time, cease with the killing. Okay. So now let's go into the 95th Psalm. We just have two more spots. 95th Psalm. We're going to pick it up at that first verse. Psalm 95 and verse 1. Psalm 95 and 1. Because we asked the question, will a man rob God? But the Lord told you, Malachi, yeah, you'll rob me. Psalm 95 and verse 1. 95 and 1. Go ahead and read.
Oh, come, let us sing unto the Lord. Let us make a joyful noise to the rock of our salvation. Let us come before his presence with thanksgiving and make a joyful noise unto him.
See, look, he's saying, go ahead, unto him with what?
With song.
He said, let us come before his presence with thanksgiving. Okay, go ahead and read.
For the Lord is a great God and a great king above all gods.
Yes, sir. And guess what? We supposed to be thanking the Lord for everything he's done for us. So now let's go hit Hebrews chapter 7 and pick it up at verse 1. Hebrews 7 and 1. And then we have one more spot after that. Hebrews chapter 7 and verse 1. And we already read this story earlier about some of it about Abraham and Melchizedek. Hebrews 7 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who made Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him.
Yes.
To whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all. First being by interpretation, king of righteousness. And after that, also king of Salem, which is king of peace.
And we know that was Jesus back there, Melchizedek. And Jesus, once again, the high priest after the order of Melchizedek. Okay. But look, skip down and pick it up at verse 4 and continue.
Now consider how great this man was, and to whom even the patriarch Abraham gave the tenth of the spoils.
He said, look, consider how great this man was. We know that was the Lord. That Abraham gave him a tenth of the spoils. Go ahead and read.
And verily, they that are of the sons of Levi, who receive the office of the priesthood, have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law, that is, of their brethren, though they came out of the loins of Abraham.
See, it's just pointing out here that the Levites came out of Abraham, and Abraham was paying tithes, but the Levites received tithes. Okay, but skip on down to verse 8 and let's understand it. Go ahead.
And here men that die receive tithes, but there he receiveth them, of whom it is witnessed that he liveth. And as I may so say, Levi also, who receiveth tithes, paid tithes in Abraham.
See, it's saying the fact that Abraham paid tithes to the Most High God, the priest of the Most High God, that Levi was paying tithes at that moment. Why? Read that next verse.
For he was yet in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him.
And because Levi was in the loins of Abraham when Melchizedek met him. So Levi even paid tithes, okay? So now, let's go to Psalm 33. This is our last place. Psalm 33. And let's pick it up at verse 4. Psalm 33 and verse 4. Psalm chapter 33. This is our last place. Psalm 33, and let's pick it up at verse 4. Because this is our God, brothers and sisters. He has blessed us over and over again, and we should let him know that we appreciate that. Psalm 33 and 4. Go ahead and read it.
For the word of the Lord is right, and all his works are done in truth. He loveth righteousness and judgment. The earth is full of the goodness of the Lord.
Yes.
By the word of the Lord were the heavens made, and all the host of them by the breath of his mouth.
Yes, sir.
He gathered the waters of the sea together as in heap. He layeth up the depth in storehouses.
Go ahead.
Let all the earth fear the Lord. Let all the inhabitants of the world stand in awe of him.
So look, so what he's saying here is the Lord made all of this stuff. All this earth is his, brothers and sisters. And he said he gathers the waters from the sea. He said by the word of the Lord, the heavens was made. Okay. And he said, let all the earth fear God and let everybody stand in awe of him and realize how omnipotent and how powerful this God is, and that we should definitely be thankful to him and we should definitely fear him. I hope somebody was edified with today's lesson, and I thank you for your time.